It's that. Right.
But Charles, what have you liked so far about the first 2 days of practice?
Well, I really like the way Coach Prime has things set up. I like, the intensity, the playing fast on both sides of the ball. And our offense is going to get a fast tempo team that gives us a lot of advantages practicing against that. But we've got to be a fast defense. So, I really like the way the practices are structured and we're getting everything we need out of it.
There, you said earlier we talked to you last that you guys are really in a learning phase right now, but you're also developing some schemes and getting things done. What's the ratio between implementation and experimentation right now?
More, I would say 90% of implementation, maybe 10% experimentation. We're taking guys out on the experiment side. We're moving some guys around in different positions, especially in the secondary, to see what they're, what they can do, what they can handle, how much they can process. Some of the guys up front, we're moving those. That's more probably the experiment, the experiment part. But right now we're just implementing every day. We're adding new things because we got to see also not only how people play, but how they learn, how they can process. Every week, you play 14, 15 games in here. You're going to play people that do different things every week. So your scheme has to be a little bit different based off what you see. So we have to, be able to find it that can adapt to those situations.
A couple weeks back, when coaches Sean Lewis is starting up, he didn't want to watch any film on any of the guys, wanted them to come in fresh with a spray to the value with that. Just wondering what your approach is. Have you been doing Roderick film, or is also kind of a blank slate out there?
I did before I came. I haven't spent much time since I've been here watching, but before I came out here, I did watch some videos just to see. I was just evaluating a little more what personnel was coming back, seeing, what the competition was. But since then, listen, it's what we do now. It's not about the past. It's about, building and, developing. In my mind, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you played good last year or played bad. It really doesn't matter. You've got to play forward and play the next play and play the next game. So we got to get that mindset.
Completely 2 days is certainly a small sample size, but what have you learned about this defense of this team, or what impressions have they made on you?
Well, in spots that there's some ability out there to make some plays, but we don't do it on a consistent basis. And we got to learn how to play 60 minutes in a game and to play intense all the time, to have intensity all the time. And can't be intense unless you're intense. I have to have a reason for what I'm doing. And, just learning that style of it. We've got a long way to go before we can say anything. You can't. Everybody out there has done some nice things, but everybody out there has made some mistakes. But the biggest thing is we have to learn how to play with intensity for 60 minutes.
Just to follow up on that, the football stuff will come, but how would you describe just the athleticism of this group?
Well, I think, we've had some guys, that have come in here that have boosted the athleticism. But I think we're constantly evaluating. One thing you're doing in any organization, you're always evaluating, you're always recruiting, and you're always developing. Those three things are critical. So we're doing those things. So a lot of this evaluation, sometimes guys look good when they're running around in shorts. And then all of a sudden you put the pads on and somebody else looks better. So you don't want to jump to conclusions. And I've learned a long time ago, you only make decisions based off the information you have. So we're constantly gathering information.
Coach, you talk about the guys that you've actually caught. I see Travis Hunter adapting to Power 5, not with the coach to being down for after business. I see it.
Listen, I thought Travis Hunter was as good a player coming out of high school as there was in this country. He was as, highly recruited as anybody that we recruited. We tried to recruit him in Alabama. They recruited him all over. So he definitely has the ability. I think Travis would probably tell you when you move to the next level that anytime you move to a different level, all right, you get used to the speed of the game, and that happens. I mean, when guys leave here and go to the NFL, that's what happens. But the good players are good players, no matter what, no matter where you put them. So, but yeah, I've always thought Travis was an elite talent. Everything I've seen so far, he's working extremely hard.
Is there anything he can't do?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's anything he can't do. I think it just depends on, what we're asking him to do, and making sure, that he's full speed in everything that we ask him to do.
Coach, what's it like to coach with Sal Sunseri again this year? What kind of coach is he?
Well, first of all, I mean, you can look at Sal's record. One of the best coaches I've ever worked with. I mean, 2 years ago, he had the best defensive player in America. All right. One of the most dominating. I mean, if you think about it, his room that he had while he was the outside backer coach at Alabama, possibly had 3 first-rounders in a row. I mean, if you take Drew Sanders, who, went on to Arkansas, but and then you had Will, then you got Dallas Turner next year. I mean, and then when he and I were together at Florida State, I mean, he's a great football coach, and he's very intense. He's old school, but players have always loved him. They love his style. They love the way he coaches. So yes, and he brings a lot to our staff, and we're grateful that he's here.
A little bit along those lines, how much of the spring process is for you to develop working relationships with your fellow coaches, or in some cases get reacquainted with it?
Yes, I think that people think it's just spring practice. Listen, we've been in the meeting room since the day after, a couple of days after signing that, and in February. So we've been together for a long time. It's not just starting this week. I really like our staff. I really like the camaraderie that we have. I like all of their, they have great work ethic. They're just funny. I mean, they want to be here. They want to be successful, and we want to give them the resources to be successful. So but it's been really solid working with these guys. I think we have good relationship. We have fun, and the beef get a lot done. So I look forward to working with these guys a long time.
Certainly sounds like Travis Hunter's going to play both ways next year. How's that process going this spring? Like, what percent is he spending on offense? What percent on defense? Like, have you ever coached a player who's played both ways, and what does it take to excel?
Yeah, I mean, I've coached some players that play both ways, and I think for Travis, it's just making sure that, he understands the concepts on both sides of the ball. I think Coach Prime I'd like to see the percentage of time that he spends, with what group. But he, I've seen guys how to do it before, and we used to take, and it didn't happen a lot, but when I was at Alabama, Devontae Smith was probably one of our better callers, right? Watch some old punt return. Right, he would jam these guys up on the outside. He could play bump and run as good as any, and we always worked him on defense at some point, during practice. So, yeah, it was lucky he had quite a lot of guys that we didn't have to use him, but if we needed to, we would have done it. So, guys they can play both positions, and especially when you're wired the right way. And Travis is definitely wired that way.
Last one for Coach.
For the days, what so far best stood out to you?
I'm not avoiding the question. Okay, I don't want you to think it's the boarding question, but I honestly think it's too early to take one person and point, because we haven't had a chance to put pads on. We haven't had a chance to see guys how they react in other situations, and like I said, you want to make sure that you get all the information before you make decisions. So for me to do that on any specific person right now, a week from now, I'll probably have a little bit better idea than when I have after the second day. But I will say I noticed guys like, I noticed Shador on offense, just being a defensive guy. He flashes to me because I've been around some really good quarterbacks, in the last 10 years. And, he flashing. I'm not coaching him, but he's flashing to me. Travis has flashed to me. But and then defensively, it's just such a work in progress until we got to find the right pieces, and we'll do that. That's what's great.
Thanks, both. Thank you. Thank you.